It's more fun in the Philippines. It's more fun in the Philippines. Philippine Islands. It's more fun in the Philippines.
All right, I hope you enjoyed the video, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I'm wondering, how many of you have been to the Philippines? One out of about 40 or 50. We have to do better than that after this presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And on behalf of the Philippine Department of Tourism, I would like to thank the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy for this privilege to be part of Berlin Economic Forum. I'm particularly excited to be given this opportunity to talk about a topic that is very close to our heart, and a topic which we feel has been the centerpiece of our tourism campaign in the Philippines, the topic on innovative nation branding. So this afternoon, I hope to provide you a glimpse of how we have used individual and collective creativity to increase the value of our branding for tourism and to present the performance indicators that we have identified to measure the success of our tourism campaign. I shall also very briefly touch on our strategic thrust that espouses sustainable development, inclusive growth, and I will cap this with a short overview of our tourism investment initiatives. In 2012, about 4 years ago, we launched a tourism campaign that we feel has reverberated around the world. The campaign is what we call It's More Fun in the Philippines. So we have cell phone cases, we have t-shirts, watches, caps, you name it. The campaign, It's More Fun in the Philippines, stemmed from a single question that we asked ourselves. Why would visitors, especially in this room, visit the Philippines? Why would you want to come to the Philippines? The overall goal of the campaign was to improve the country's image. The country's image, the country's reputation, to increase visitor arrivals, visitor expenditure, employment, and overall contribution to GDP. So these are performance indicators that most tourism bureaus or organizations have set for themselves. These are also the same performance indicators that are the essence of nation branding. So we set out to prepare a plan that included developing a new brand, a new voice for Philippine tourism that had to be anchored on the competitive advantages and strengths of the country. We looked around and we saw competition all over. very stiff competition. At that time, destinations in Asia were already running their very amazing tourism campaigns, their very incredible tourism campaigns around the globe for a good number of years. And in so doing, they've been getting tens and tens of millions of tourists. So we told ourselves we simply couldn't afford to be left behind. We had a lot of catching up to do, and we had to act fast. At that time, we had a very active campaign, but we felt we needed to change dramatically and step up our efforts if we were to provide serious competition. We couldn't take it easy and just wait for the tourists to come. We had to do something different so we could get the attention of the market. We knew we had to be competitive, and to do so, we had to rally everybody behind our tourism campaign. For the campaign to be effective, we had to get the support of the entire Filipino people. And to get that support, it was important for Filipinos to have a deeper sense of pride and at the same time, a very competitive spirit. And to achieve this, the campaign had to be participative and inclusive. We looked around and assessed the tourism campaigns in the region and eventually crafted our own strategy. While other countries invite you to observe, to look, we invite you to join. We invite you to participate. And we believe Filipinos can promise a more heartfelt, engaging, and interesting experience. As we say, wherever you go, whatever you do in the country, it is the Filipino who will complete the vacation and make the holiday experience unforgettable. We look after our visitors the same way we do our families. It's in our DNA. By nature, we are fun-loving, we are friendly, we smile a lot, we laugh almost all the time, sometimes for no reason. We get a little bit noisy, but fun nonetheless. And when we have a good time, then this is very important. When we have a good time, we want to make sure that everybody around us, the visitors, the friends, also do. We take it almost like a personal responsibility to make sure that they are looked after. And this is reflected in the way we continuously ask questions like, are you okay? Is there anything else you want? Is there anything else you want to see? And as the video showed earlier, have you eaten? Okay? It's also our way of saying hello. Have you eaten? A little bit strange, but this is really how it is. And so we thought the fun factor was exactly what we needed to inject into the campaign. The picture on the screen is a real mountain bike, an actual mountain bike. That is the base model, but we have upgraded versions, with the... So after months of consultation with our advertising agency and several revisions of the creative materials, we rolled out the campaign, More Fun in the Philippines, in January 2012 in Manila, in a relatively simple mid-morning briefing in our own building. No fancy hotels, no function rooms. We had it in one of the small rooms in our building. No fancy meals, no long speeches. We had no more than 50 partners from media. Less than an hour after the launch, we were already trending in social media and the other networking sites. We were starting to create a buzz. When we launched the campaign back then, we only had 3 memes or versions of the More Fun in the Philippines. Commuting, More Fun in the Philippines, and this is a shot of a couple of boats in a lagoon in the island province of Palawan, one of my personal favorite. The second is Getting Upstairs, More Fun in the Philippines. This is a shot of the Banawe Rice Terraces. I don't know if you've heard of this. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site located in the northern part of the Philippines. The third one is Status Updates, More Fun in the Philippines. This is a shot of a diver interacting with what we call a whale shark. The story of the More Fun campaign offers an interesting and relevant and often useful discourse on people's participation in a country marketing campaign and the effective use of the digital media, something that is quite important especially for the millennials, such as yourselves. It also shows how an ad agency with a relatively, or an agency rather, with a relatively small budget like the Philippine Department of Tourism can make its mark in the tourism playing field. We knew that our advertising budget was a fraction of what our neighbors had. So this compelled us to be more innovative, creative in our ways. A couple of years after the launch of the campaign, there was a book that was written, and the book is entitled Advertising More Fun in the Philippines. It was written by a British gentleman by the name of Tony Harris. He was the CEO of the ad agency that put the idea together, or at least helped put the idea together. The book, and I quote, takes readers from the genesis of the multi-awarded tourism campaign to the top of its popularity across the internet and dozens of award podiums in the last few years. The millions of Filipinos in Facebook helped spread the word around. They started taking more fun photos, they placed witty captions, and uploaded them on the different networking sites. Twitter also provided a very effective platform for us to generate awareness on the campaign. So hours into the campaign, the new campaign, we were already trending. On the day of the launch, as I mentioned, we had 3 memes. Minutes after, we started to see dozens of more fun memes in the social networking sites. And this is really where it becomes very interesting, because when we started with the campaign, we did not have any inkling whatsoever how the public would receive it. But Filipinos, the fun-loving and wacky bunch that they are, started taking photos. And by the end of the day, the first day of the launch, we estimate that there were already over 100 versions of More Fun in the Philippines. In the weeks and the months after, this would go up to 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. So today, thanks to the thousands of Filipinos, tens of thousands of Filipinos who uploaded photos of the different attractions and activities in the country, we have 75,000 versions of More Fun in the Philippines. And many of what have been uploaded are now actually being used by the Philippine Department of Tourism and even partners from the private sector in their own printed, audiovisual, and digital materials. And this we consider to be one of the most successful crowdsourcing tourism campaigns around the globe. Today, we have materials in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Arabic, Russian, Spanish, French, Vietnamese, Bahasa, and of course, German, among others. The campaign, we feel, has resonated very well because it's easily understood. It allows us to differentiate ourselves from the competition, particularly in Asia. And more importantly, it is anchored, again, we feel, on a fundamental truth that we are basically fun. It aims also to deliver on our promise with a national campaign. From the very start, we knew that we did not have the same financial resources as our competitors. We knew that our advertising budget, our marketing budget, was a fraction of what others had. But we had an advantage. We had, well, at that time, we were only 95 million Filipinos. Now there are 100 million Filipinos whom we feel could be transformed into our tourism ambassadors. Filipinos who are willing to help, were creative enough to conceptualize interesting materials, and very importantly, technology savvy. There are, of course, other countries with a much larger population base, a much larger Facebook page or Twitter base, but perhaps one advantage that we have is that we have a much larger global footprint because we have Filipinos in almost all corners of the world. We're happy to let you know that this campaign landed 3rd among the 100 best marketing campaigns in the world in a survey conducted by marketing intelligence service WARC in 2014. The first 2 years of the campaign was focused on creating a higher awareness level of the country as a whole. On the third year, we moved to the next phase, what we call the power branding phase, where we started focusing on specific destinations. Manila, Cebu, Boracay, Bohol, Davao, and Palawan, among others. So let me show you some 30-second AVP materials for some of the destinations, okay, that we have produced. Please take note of that, Boracay. Jot it down. Let's have the next.
Bright lights, city sights, shopping malls, little stalls, flip-flops, rock and roll, street smart, fine art, new and old, bronze, gold, warm, charm, hot and cold. Quick bites, fruity finds, nice smiles, wild style, cheap thrills, sky high, knick-knacks, welcome back. Every corner, fun, fun, fun. Manila, welcome back.
We have about 5 other videos, but the reason I presented this, it also gives you an insight of our strategy, our marketing strategy for the Philippines. If you notice, each of the destinations featured has its own attraction, quite different from the 3 others. And we feel that one of the advantages that we have, being an island of over 7,100 islands, an archipelago of over 7,100 islands, is that we're able to promote simultaneously 4 or 5 major destinations. And this is also the reason that we have opened up our secondary gateways to make it easier for foreigners, especially coming from long-haul destinations or long-haul markets like Germany, okay, they can consider. We have also received several award citations from different prestigious publications, and some of those are flashed on screen. Today, tourism in the Philippines remains a major contributor to economic growth, as it should be, with record number of visitor arrivals and revenue. Last year, more than 5.3 million foreign visitors came to the country, the highest ever, representing a growth rate of about 11%, which is higher than the world average of 4.5%, higher than the Asian average of 5%, which were both reported by the World Tourism Organization. And to put things in perspective, because when you look at 5.3 million visitors, it's also important to take note that because we are an archipelago, 99% of all visitors to the Philippines must ride an airplane. Okay, we have a small percentage, under 1%, that come by cruise ships. Unlike other countries in Southeast Asia, we do not enjoy any cross-border travel. So in a way, it's good for us because we tend to get the higher yield the higher spending visitors coming to the Philippines who also stay much longer. Tourist receipts, meanwhile, reached the equivalent of about $5 billion in terms of employment. We estimate that there are about 5 million Filipinos directly and indirectly employed in various tourism enterprises, mostly in transport and accommodations. We estimate that tourism workers now account for about 12.5% of the total workforce in the country. And in terms of GDP contribution, we estimate it at about 7.8, maybe close to 8%. We're trying to move this closer to maybe 11, 12%, maybe as high as 15%, similar to what you would see in most developed tourism destinations, not only in Europe, but many parts of Asia. While tourism in the Philippines and the rest of Asia, for that matter, further develops, it is important for stakeholders to be reminded to look beyond the economic benefits. As we say, tourism is not only about counting visitors or calculating revenues. Just as important, tourism is about providing employment opportunities, building communities, and improving the lives of our people. Let us also remind ourselves that tourism's role is also to help ensure that the natural resources on which many of our tourism activities are based must be protected for future generations to enjoy. And this is a cornerstone of our development plans. In our current National Tourism Development Plan of 2011 to 2016, and even in the ongoing successor plan of 2017 to 2022, we place a lot of emphasis, importance on sustainable development of tourism. And this is particularly important for a small country like the Philippines, where many of the islands are fragile in a sense and are exposed to challenges, environmental challenges. As tourism demand for various destinations in the Philippines strengthens, we also need to continuously improve air access and expand our capacity in the accommodation sector. Just 2 days ago, we finished hosting what is regarded as the largest aviation event in Asia. It's called Roots Asia. And the idea was to get all these network planners from the different airlines to come to Manila and other points so that hopefully we can convince them to add flights to the Philippines. We have set up a dedicated tourism investment promotion group in the Department of Tourism to look after investments. And a key guiding principle in attracting inward investments is ensuring that carrying capacities are not exceeded and that no project will have a significant negative impact on the environment. So when you talk about responsible foreign investment, we have to make sure that carrying capacities, building standards and guidelines are followed. So in the Philippines, this is addressed through the government-mandated environmental impact assessment, EIA, that all project proponents must undertake. The Philippines, fortunately, has received several credit rating upgrades over the last couple of years, and we feel that now is really the best time to invest in a wide range of tourism-oriented businesses in the Philippines. We believe that we have made significant headway in our nation branding and tourism promotions effort. But we also know that there are still a lot of challenges ahead, and we still have a long way to go. The key to keeping the fire burning, so to speak, is to remain forward-looking, optimistic, and as we always say in the tourism industry, to continue to encourage and inspire one another. Let me leave you with a video that tells the story of a Filipino boatman whose life has improved because of tourism. This is a story which I hope will inspire all of us, stakeholders, students, academics, to push for tourism that is truly participative and inclusive. Let's have the video.
Almost 7 years na talagang humina yung ekonomiya ng bisita.
But the Philippines has a fraction of the number of tourists that other countries in the region get.
Beautiful destinations, horrible infrastructure, and a bad rep. And the Philippines stayed the sixth man of Asia, particularly in tourism. So there was a major perception problem.
Why should people go to the Philippines?
I think one of the things that's interesting with this campaign is it's a government campaign, and yet it had individual touches of the people who spread it.
Alec and me kind of just lit up, and I thought, hey, I could do better.
Si Henson Wong Iham, kinilig ng gamitin ang picture ng mga igurot na ito na kinunan niya noong 2007 sa Banawe.
It's really an honor to be part of this campaign.
How will you show the rest of the world that it's more fun in the Philippines?
Numbers show the global online chatter may be paying off. Tourism numbers are at record levels this year, a trend that the country hopes will continue not just on social media, but in its natural wonders.
Please continue telling the whole world it's really more fun to visit the Philippines.
The President of the Philippines, as of last count, we have somebody counting, has used the phrase, it's more fun in the Philippines, an exact total of 57 times.
Ang pahayag nga po natin sa daigdig, it's more fun in the Philippines.
Malaki ang nagbago, nakapagbigay ng maayos na trabaho at hanap buhay sa mga kababayan natin. Kung hindi dahil dyan, hindi ako makapagpaaral ng anak ko sa college.
Thank you very much. Let me just make one final picture and invitation. We are here together with a delegation of about 50, 60 partners, both from government and the private sector, for ITB. We are at the Mese. Please visit the stand. I think they will open it to the public through the weekend. And I can assure you that we will provide a very interesting and fun experience within the small Philippine pavilion. Thank you very much.